I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and this is the new Polestar 4, the first coupe SUV from the Swedish-Chinese EV manufacturer. At least that's the way Polestar would put it. To our eyes, the Polestar 4 is kind of like a slightly lifted sedan, or perhaps liftback. It's an interesting shape. It's long, over 4.8 meters in length. That makes it bigger than something like a BMW X4 or a Porsche Macan, but not quite as big as something like a Porsche Cayenne. Of course, like Polestar's other current models, the Polestar 4 will be all electric only. It'll be available with dual motors or a single rear motor, and it's based on Polestar's new SEA platform, which uses nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries, but it's still a relatively heavy vehicle, over 2.2 tons, but Polestar has put in some much needed work on the efficiency of this vehicle. So it has a 94 kilowatt hour usable battery, which is a fairly decent sized battery, but it promises 560 kilometers of range WLTP in dual motor form, or 600 kilometers of range WLTP in single motor rear wheel drive form. Now, it is certainly helpful that Polestar uses the same motor on both the front and the back of the Polestar 4. It's a 200 kilowatt, 343 Newton meter motor. You double those outputs to get to the performance of the dual motor version. Now, if you go for both motors and all-wheel drive, you're going to be looking at 3.8 seconds 0 to 100. Go for the rear wheel drive and it's just over 7 seconds, so on paper a lot slower, but I suspect the rear wheel drive version will be the real driver's car of the bunch here. It's probably got those slightly smaller wheels. 20 inches are the smallest wheel on the Polestar 4. It's going to have a slightly more comfortable ride, and of course, being rear drive, you're going to be able to tap into the limits of that chassis a little bit more, whereas the all-wheel drive will give you that massive performance punch that we're now used to from the Polestar 2, which I ran as a long-termer here on the Chasing Cars channel, and the forthcoming Polestar 3. Polestar are choosing to name their cars sequentially rather than based on the size of the vehicle. A little bit different to a bunch of other manufacturers, but interesting nonetheless. Now, looking inside at the Polestar 4, there's going to be a choice of 3 different interior materials. There's a new tailored weave textile, which looks pretty cool. There will be vinyl as a mid-spec option, and then Nappa leather. Now, Polestar sources its Nappa leather from animal welfare approved sources, they say, so it's an expensive option. It's over $5,000 on the current cars, but still something worth considering if you want the nicest possible interior, at least the way we think of it now. You'll also notice that compared to its current vehicles, Polestar has turned that screen landscape. It's a 15-inch landscape screen, Snapdragon processor, Google Android Automotive for the operating system as well. And the interior looks like a pleasant place to be, but of course we'll have to check out backseat room given the coupe-like profile of the vehicle at a later date. But boot space, Polestar says, is up to 500 kilos, up to 2-ton towing if you go for the dual motor version. So that's a quick look at the new Polestar 4, a fully electric coupe SUV. Perhaps it's a lifted saloon, lifted liftback, however you want to think about it. It's a pretty cool looking EV. It's going to be built in China, released in China at the end of 2023, coming to Australia from early 2024. In terms of pricing, Polestar has already announced it will start at 60,000 euros, which is about 14% more expensive than a long-range single-motor Polestar 2. So here in Australia, we could see a starting price from perhaps $80,000 or $85,000, which would make it quite a lot more affordable than some other premium emerging sporty SUVs that are fully electric, but a little more expensive than the entry point of something like a Tesla Model Y. So that's the first look at the Polestar 4. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're there, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.